Okay, welcome to the Ask Alvin Show, episode number 3. Just about to go live everywhere across the whole wide world. My name is Alvin. If you don't know who I am the retail business coach that helps retailers improve their cash flow and profitability. And this is the last show that we're doing in the live Q&A series called the Ask Alvin Show. So this is a question and answer show. So if you have questions about your retail business pertaining to cash flow and profitability, now is the time to ask them. So I'm going live, and I'd really appreciate it if you're watching this live to just make sure you write live for me in the comments section. Also, if you're watching this on the replay, I'd love it if you would write replay on the comment section below. If you have any live questions, you can just pop them up and that'll come on to my screen. So if you're on Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to try and keep this pretty short. I got a few questions sent in. And if you notice me looking up to my top left, I'm actually got my camera set up here on Instagram, going live on Instagram as well. So if you've got other people who are watching, send them over to Instagram as well. So let's go. Like I said, this is a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, pop them into the comment section below. And so I got this first question here from Nikki. And she says, I don't think I can decrease my expenses any further. So Nikki, thanks for your question. I wish I knew what business you're in. But yeah, it's a common question that I get. A lot of business owners think they've optimized their business expense. I bet you if we sat down together or if you followed one of my systems, we could reduce your expenses. But the key thing about reducing your expenses is to actually set up a system. So it's the actual act of coming up with a system that works for you, your personality, and your business, so that you're constantly going through your expenses and working through them, so you're actively decreasing them. So for instance, I would recommend you probably tackle a couple of suppliers or a couple of vendors that you're working with, or a couple of expense lines in your profit and loss statement. And you can start to, just slowly start to work on reducing those expenses. So perhaps you're dealing with a supplier. Now's a really good time to talk to that supplier and see if you can get some reduction in some increase in the discount. Or perhaps what's even really, really good for your cash flow is if you can increase your payment terms. So if you can increase that from, say, no period to 120 days. We spoke about this last week. Somebody had a question about that as well. So that's a really, really good tip. And I think the key takeaway, Nikki, is that you should be diarizing this expense reduction system that you've got. So it's something that you want to constantly be doing and have it diarized. And you'll find, even a 1% increase, if you've got, 5 or 6 different suppliers or expense lines in your P&L and people that you're dealing with, over time, you will find that these 1% decreases in your expenses, we will all sort of add up. Okay. So I hope you found that useful. So the next question I got is from Jed, and Jed's writing in the chat screen here, I think through Facebook. Thanks, Jed, for participating. I really appreciate that. So he's asking, why is my revenue growing, but I don't have any profits? Okay, I was still losing money. All right, that's a really good question, Jed. So yes, so quite often, if you're a growing business and your sales are improving or growing rapidly, quite often you're not, you're probably not making any money. Okay, and here's why. So a lot of business owners, they focus on the metric of high revenue without, and revenue is great. It's something we should definitely be working towards. But some business owners forget that revenue without regard to profitability or the profit that you're making is just vanity. It's just bullshit. So, you could be selling widgets or whatever it is that you're selling for, X amount. But if you haven't actually taken into consideration the profit side of it, or how much money you're making every time you sell one of these things, it just doesn't mean anything at all, because a lot of business owners kind of forget about this point, and they end up selling products and services well below their cost. And there's might be sometimes a really good reason for that. You might be just starting out, or you might be doing a loss leader, but it's really not something you can sustain for a long time. It's like a race to the bottom trying to do something like that. So that's, Jed, one thing I would ask you to consider would be to start to have a look at the products and services that you're selling and at what margin you're selling them at. Is it really useful if you've got a point of sale system in your retail shop, which hopefully you should be able to produce a profit analysis report, which will just show you for the previous week, which is what I would recommend that you do on a weekly basis, what products you sold and what margin you sold them at, so you can get a better understanding of what you are selling. Cool. All right, Jed, hopefully that answered your question. Got another question here from Carol. She is asking, how can I make my sales force more profit focused? Really good question, Carol. So one of the main reasons why, yeah, I've just got a question here. Yes, great. I'll get to that in a second. So um, one of the main things that you need to do as a business owner is ensure that your team are all across your products and services, and your team, like you, are profit centric. So there's a balance between making sure that you're giving your clients or your customers the right value products, and the products that are going to suit them, and the services that are going to suit them, and also with respect to margin. So what you need to do is ensure all your team are trained. So they need to know which are the most profitable products that are going to help your clients. You also need to have a system in place for the training, and it can't be just sort of a ad hoc thing. When we talk about um, really driving your sales force, the whole team training thing should be scheduled, and it should happen regularly. So, this is like a real thing most business owners kind of forget, especially retailers. We get caught up in running our business, putting out fires, but we don't really, schedule in the time for our team to get trained. And, when you have a high performing team, that's the point where you can start, the business owner, the retailer, can start to step away from your business on a day-to-day management level and a day-to-day running level. You can get out of the shop, out of the online store, and your team can really start to grow your business for you. Okay. So just to recap for your team, you just want to make sure they know everything about your business, the intimate profit situations, what products and services to sell. Yeah, and actually that's a really good point, because I know some retailers are a little bit reluctant in sharing this information with your team, but I would really encourage you to consider that the more information your team know about your business, the much better they can sell for you, and based on that information as well. There's no need to be hiding this stuff. Yeah, cool. So hopefully, Carol, that answered your question. I got a question here from Guada de Papel on Instagram. She's asking, do you recommend weekly reviews? Yes, I recommend weekly reviews for a lot of things. So one of the things that weekly review of numbers is definitely super important. So I think as a retailer and as a business owner, you really need to be on top of your numbers, and it's something that you really can't wait for your bookkeeper or your accountant to be sending you quarterly or monthly or whatever the fuck they're sending it. You really want to get onto your numbers weekly. Once you start to look at your numbers weekly, you can then start to make some really intelligent and quick decisions about what's happening in your business, what levers you're going to pull, and what's going to impact your results. And the great thing is you can tweak it so you start to get results the very next week, or the very week that you're looking at your results, right? And you're welcome. And also, when you do it weekly, you actually, after you yourself, the business owner, gets into a rhythm or a system of looking at your numbers, it's a really good time to then outsource it to your team. So your team get more involved, and your team are actually starting to review the numbers for you, with you just sort of doing a high level overview. So, Guada de Papel, thank you very much for your question. I'm hitting almost 10 minutes. I see the wisdoms for the journey of life. Thank you for watching. If you've just said hi in the chat, thank you. Right, so I'm going to wrap this up. As I said at the beginning, if you're watching the replay, I'd really love it if you could just put the word replay. It kind of helps me understand where everybody is watching and when I should do these live Q&As again. This is the last one. So if you do have a question about cash flow and profitability for your retail business, please pop them into the comment section below and I will ensure that they get answered. Or you can send me a direct message on Facebook. What else do I have to add? I think that is it. If you want me to do these again, just pop them in the questions below. Will there be a replay? I got by an anonymous user. Yes, I think there will be. This is going to be recorded on my Facebook feed. You can always watch the replay on my Facebook feed, or if you go to YouTube on the Grow Your Business channel, it's going to be there. If you're part of my Facebook group, and I'll pop the link to the Facebook group below, this is going to be always in our Facebook group as well. So really good question, anonymous Facebook user. What else? I think that's it. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great morning, good evening, wherever you are, and we shall speak soon. Ciao.